So how was home like at your young age? How was your family like as a daughter of a are you twins or you're just sisters?
It's sisters, yeah,
Sisters.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, as you know, I've got my sister Nikki. So I'm the eldest by 2 years, and so my dad was in the army, in the British Army, and he moved around. We moved around with him until we went to school. So my sister was born in Germany. Then we moved to Birmingham. We settled down in Birmingham. We had a really nice family life until and we had both sides. So my mum was very practical, an amazing cook, could do sewing, could make things. In the 1970s, people used to make stuff.
Yeah.
Women used to make things. And so we had all that on the one side. My dad was more of a he was in the army, and he'd been through that system. He understood all about rules and etiquette, and sort of he understood a different way of seeing the British society,
Yeah.
which was handy for us to learn.
Hmm.
And he also was a bit more of a philosopher. He encouraged he encouraged us to think for ourselves, and not just my mum was more of a because I said so kind of a person. My dad was more of a what do you think about this sort of person. So it was a great partnership while they were married.
Wow, beautiful. I commend him for that because being an army personnel, you've got these strict rules to follow and all that sort of thing. So it's good to know that. So you said you were quiet when you are in school or when you are going to school. Were you bullied in school?
Well, it's funny. I've never talked about this on any show. Nobody's ever asked me. And I was bullied a little bit because I just, some people, I don't want to blame the victim, but sometimes if you're a bit quieter, people, bully you. And I used to wear braces, and I had these huge two goofy teeth at the front.
Yeah.
There was a mile gap in between my two front teeth.
I
And I
know.
had I had various different braces to bring all my teeth into alignment together. And so it would be like Jaws. That was one of my nicknames. And yeah, so yeah, I was bullied a bit, but not beaten up and in the way that people can really be bullied
Right.
hard.
Does that transform you in a way that you become resilient today or being able to go through tough times?
I don't know if the two are connected, but yeah, I can go through tough times, and I am um courageous and optimistic. Um, I always feel like I'm going to get through it. It's not that I'm never sad. I am sometimes sad. Sometimes you can't see your way through. But I am one of those people that in the morning I always think, you know what, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay.
Some people say traditional education is dead and redundant, relevant, irrelevant. Well, what is your viewpoint on that?
Well, if you mean by traditional education, paying a lot of money to go to university,
Correct.
Um, I think it is redundant for many professions, or for the ambitions of many people, it is redundant. So if you want to start and grow an incredible business, for example, there's so many ways to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And having a traditional education might not be it. If you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or that sort of thing, a professor, then you probably need to go through that traditional education. And I think it depends what you enjoy, because there's more to education than helping you get the job, going through that process. So if you're somebody who is young and your family or whoever can finance that for you, and it's going to be a good experience for you, i.e., you're going to enjoy that process, then maybe it's for you. If you're somebody who just wants to get out there
Yeah.
and start making it economically, financially, and find your purpose doing it, doing that, and become the person who creates the jobs, then absolutely, we're seeing so much more that is the way to go as well.
Yeah, I really do agree with you on that. You get me to remember when I finished uni because I did accounting and finance. I was told do accounting finance, you get yourself a nice job, you go work in the city and stuff like that. So what I soon realized when I started was they had to train me and teach me everything, right? I was thinking, why did I have that degree if I was going to get taught again or taught again about how to do everything? Then I asked my director then, I said, what was the point to go to uni? He goes like, it's to get you through the doors, mate. That's
Yeah.
it. And it gets me thinking, really, was it really worth me going through uni, going through all that hustle and getting that debt on top of me and all that sort of thing? That really gets me to start thinking maybe what people were saying was kind of true. But as you said, being a doctor, a nurse, a pharmacist, perhaps you need to go to uni for that. Well, you wanted to be an entrepreneur, wanted to be a businessman. Maybe you want to get someone who's doing what you're doing, get them to mentor you or maybe shadow them or work for them. I think that would give you a better, valuable knowledge and implementation than probably going to uni to learn about it. Because I've never been taught at uni how to basically invest or use money. I was trained to become an employee
Yes.
rather than become an entrepreneur or a business person. So I really, really relate to that, especially when you're answering that question. So thank you. Thank you. Can you share your journey from thinking property investment wasn't for you due to lack of connection to co-founding HMO Heavens and managing properties worth over 2 million?
Yeah. Wow. And the properties that we manage have grown so much more since even we wrote that. But one thing that just came to mind as you were speaking was I was listening to a podcast the other day. I love podcasts.
Thank
And it was called My First Million. And the guy had on his show a woman who'd bought an egg carton business.
you.
And she was speaking to somebody at this high fancy university in America. And she noticed he was very responsive if she sent a text or an email. They were in a group project together. And she said it was almost annoying. She says, "Why are you so responsive?" And
Yeah,
he said, "Goldman." And he meant Goldman Sachs.
yeah.
And they have 15 minutes to reply on the same mechanism by which they get the message. So if it's text or email or whatever it is, 15 minutes to reply. And she said, what if your wife's in labor? 15 minutes. What if you're in the shower? 15 minutes. What if you're getting married? 15
Minute.
minutes. And she said, I realized in that moment, I didn't want to be somebody else's bitch.
Whoa, I like that.
And I thought,
Yes.
it's just most jobs are not 15 minutes, okay? But most and many jobs, especially today when people can work from home, have got all sorts of high expectations that you're going to be checking in all times of the day and night, and that your life does not belong to you. It belongs to them, and that's what they're paying you for in your salary. And so I think whenever we're thinking about anything like this, and what you're doing, Raheem, is letting people know that there's other options, and that even on the side of your job that you can have other options. So how I went from not thinking that any of this was my world to like founding several successful businesses is I had a moment, and I think every big life change, it starts with a simple decision. It starts with an idea. It all starts in your mind.
Yeah,
And mostly we have the idea in our mind and we never take action on it.
yeah.
But I had an idea in my mind, and it was so strong, the urge and the impulse. And, it was like one of those ideas where you have it in your mind and you can feel it in your belly. You just know that this is your future. And what it was that my mum had got ill and called me in the morning.
Mhm,
And I was trying to dash her off the phone because
mhm.
I had a presentation.
Wow.
And when somebody starts apologizing, no, sorry to disturb you, oh.
Yeah,
And you get off the phone. And then in the afternoon, after my presentation, I was at my desk thinking, oh, see how well it went. See how clever you are, Stephanie. Your boss said that it went well, and the questions and the interaction. I was just giving myself a mental pat on the back and
yeah.
thinking how great I was. And then it just did a flashback replay of this conversation with my mum in the morning.
Yeah.
And your intuition comes to you and says, oh, she was feeling scared and lonely, and you dashed off the phone. And who do you want to be? What kind of person are you? If you've got to make a choice, if you said, is your mum more important or your job, you would probably say your mum, but in actual fact, it's your job.
Absolutely.
And I just thought to myself in that moment, the bank will be absolutely fine without you, but your mum won't. And also, I want to be the person who is there for my mum. When I'm on my deathbed, I know that what's going to be important to me is my relationship with my family, my loved ones, and all of that. It's not going to be what did I do for Lloyd's Bank or whatsoever bank, because I know that they're going to carry on absolutely fine without me. And that's not to say that you don't do a good job in your job. Absolutely, you do a good job in your job. But I just realized, and I just thought to myself, how do people do this who don't have to go to work? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And I knew it was something to do with business. And I know this sounds very naive, but I thought, I don't know what they're doing to do with business that can replace a salary, a decent salary.
Yeah.
And I knew that I could have had a hobby business. I've seen people do that, but they're really struggling and it's not really working for them. So I thought, I need to find out how to replace my salary with a business that I can do. And
Yeah.
I know that I'm not sophisticated in business. I don't know all these things. So I was struggling to think, what could I do that could be successful?